time like we heard about last time?
No side deals. This Speaker election means that the House Republican Conference is united, really, for the first time this Congress. We are united behind a man of deep faith who obeys Almighty God and the Constitution before all else, and I was proud to support him. He's not someone who comes from any particular faction of the Republican Conference.
I don't know about that.
Well, he has strong relationships from our most moderate members to our most conservative members. And you know what? Everyone feels listened to with Mike Johnson. He has a great tone, a great leadership skill stack, and I'm going to do everything I can to make him successful.
One of the things that you and several Republicans got changed at the beginning of the year was you made it easier to remove a speaker in real time. Then you exercised that authority. So people are seeing a Congress, a set of news cycles here that are because of what you guys did. We're told that that continues. So will you be as eager to use that rule to topple this speaker as McCarthy, or this was kind of one and done for you?
Well, we have Republicans and Democrats who are interested in raising the threshold for the motion to vacate beyond just one member. And just this morning, I met with Speaker Johnson about that and about those desires, and here's what I've offered. Ro Khanna of California, a Democrat, and I have worked on some bipartisan anti-corruption rule changes for the House that wouldn't allow members of Congress to become lobbyists or registered foreign agents, that wouldn't allow members of Congress to accept donations from lobbyists and political action committees, and that would stop members of Congress from trading individual stocks. So if we could approach that Khanna-Gaetz anti-corruption agenda with great vigor, then I might be willing to consider an increase in the threshold on the motion to vacate.
So you could raise the threshold, which makes it harder to toss somebody. Do you have any idea whether Mike Johnson is worried that you guys will do this again? I mean, I said one and done because, yes, you could technically do it, but if you keep doing this, right, that's going to complicate a lot of your party's governing agenda.
I do not want your viewers to get the impression that I want to govern by motion to vacate. This was something that we had to do because Kevin McCarthy had lied to us. You know, the one thing that...
So it was a McCarthy thing for you?
Well, undeniably, if Kevin McCarthy had maintained his commitments to pursue single-subject spending bills, if he had released the January 6th tapes, if he had called for the votes on a balanced budget amendment and term limits, as he had promised, then he would likely still be Speaker today. It wasn't about the man so much as his unwillingness to adhere to the agreement that he had made.
Well, you know, we keep it real around here, and I appreciate you coming on. It seems sometimes somewhat about the men, because you seem to have beef with him and him with you. It did seem at times to get quite tense. Let me ask you about the funding.
Well, that's not true, though. I want to push back on that because I can cite specific things that Kevin McCarthy agreed to do. And the reason I brought this motion to vacate is when I went home to my constituents, they looked at me and said, Matt, you promised us a term limit vote. You promised us a balanced budget vote. He's not doing these things, and you said there was a one-person motion to vacate. So it was really accountability for policy and procedure failures more than it was any beef.
We have informed viewers, and they've lived through it and watched it all, so they can adjust and assess what you're saying based on what they saw, because we saw that. But I do want to get you, while I have you on, one of the things that you all said was bad was that you said Kevin McCarthy was working with Democrats or doing so in the wrong way. Let me show you. Take a look.
Working with the Democrats is a yellow brick road that has been paved by Speaker McCarthy.
The Speaker fought through 15 votes in January to become Speaker, but was only willing to fight through one failed CR before surrendering to the Democrats.
The only time that we lost the conservative agenda was when Kevin McCarthy went behind the Republican conference and was able to retain a majority of Democrat votes.
You and others said that. And yet, this is the question I've been dying to ask you. I haven't seen you in person since this all went down. Look at this chart. Congressman Gaetz. You were in the minority. You partnered with over 200 Democrats to oust Kevin McCarthy. And so the question to you, and this is not a left or right question, as you know, there are conservatives and Republicans who've raised this issue with you in this recent time. Why is it bad when Kevin McCarthy partners with Democrats to keep the government open, but it's okay when you do it to actually shut down basically a functioning House for a few weeks?
Well, we shut down for 22 days. Keep in mind, every year, Congress takes a 6-week vacation. So we took about half the time of the normal vacation, and I actually think it was some of our more productive time.
And you couldn't have done it without those 200 Democrats. You couldn't have done it without working with Democrats, right?
Yeah, and by the way, I work with Democrats regularly, whether it's on privacy rights, on FISA issues, whether it's on criminal justice reform.
But I just showed you saying that was a yellow brick road paved by McCarthy.
Right,
you say that was wrong.
Well,
Why?
that was a tight clip.
There it is.
Yeah.
And I'll give you the mic back.
Sure. Sure.
Our viewers, they don't always hear directly from you. They see, coverage of you. Explain to us in logical English why it's bad when he does it and okay when you do it.
Well, I had to work with Democrats to remove McCarthy because he worked with Democrats to violate the agreements he had made with us. Had Democrats or had McCarthy not worked with Democrats on the debt limit deal in violation of the guardrails we had set up, certainly I wouldn't have worked with Democrats to remove him. But it's not, I think we're being a bit reductive here. It's okay to work with Democrats in divided government. It's actually necessary and required if you want to do the essential functions of government. What's not okay is for Kevin McCarthy to blow through the guardrails we set. For example, we told him that he was authorized to negotiate a debt limit deal that was to a certain date or a certain dollar amount, whichever came first. He then blew through those guardrails to just suspend the debt limit entirely until January of 2025. We've already accrued $2 additional trillion in debt.
Right. So you're saying, look, people can assess that, like I said, for themselves. You're saying that that was the enforcement against deals you'd already made. I'm running out on time here, but finally, big picture, take it all together. Did Matt Gaetz and the rebels win because you got the speaker you wanted and now you don't have to vacate or play those strategies anymore? Or are Matt Gaetz and the so-called rebels still out here and Johnson should be just as worried over his shoulder as McCarthy?
It's the former. We are here to make Mike Johnson as successful as a speaker as he can possibly be. He has sat next to me for 7 years on the House Judiciary Committee. We served together on House Armed Services. We have very aligned perspectives on a vast majority of issues. So this is our guy. This isn't a guy that we're going to chase around with a motion to vacate. This is a guy we're going to do everything we can to pour into and make successful.
I gave you time. I want to mention for viewers, it's your guy, which is different from how we started the interview, which he said he's everybody's guy. He's across the board. But now he's your side's.
Well, look, he can be our guy and he can be the guy for other folks. Everybody voted for him. But I think people can be enthusiastic about Mike Johnson for different reasons. Yeah. I'm very enthusiastic about him being an honest man, a true conservative. I think others that might not hold his perspective on some of those policy questions really like his leadership style.
Well, I thank you for coming in. When it comes to the speaker news, you have been a big part of it and been in the news. I appreciate you coming on the beat tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Congressman Matt Gaetz.